task evaluation is something I think about every day right now, and not necessarily for existing models, but more also when you start to create new models. It really becomes a question, like you don't want to create a model just to nail one benchmark, because in this new era of LLMs, it's just too easy. Like SGD on a transformer is just such a powerful machine that it will crush any benchmark that you throw at it. So you really have to think a little bit deeper. And of course, Helm and those type of approaches of having a broad, spectrum of benchmark, that's one approach. And that definitely works. But I think I'm a big fan of, it might sound a little bit silly and certainly not scientific, but of playing with the model. So we, of course, in a way, this is what we did in Sparks of AGI. We mostly played with the model. But even now, as we train new model, and maybe we'll talk about that a little bit later in the conversation, this is something we actually do. So we have benchmarks to guide us as we train, but once we have produced a model to tell whether it's really good or not, we don't just, look at those benchmarks. We actually try to use it in our use cases that we were envisioning. And that's really, it's hard to come up with an evaluation for this. And I'm curious what you think about that, because the key aspect of those LLMs that really differentiate them from before is the interactivity. You can interact with them.
I totally agree there. And once you have the benchmark, as you pointed out, it's easy to saturate. We have the training techniques that are available to do that. And so being able to continue to push the boundaries of what we understand is capable of is a continuously challenging task. And I think that LangChain does have a similar approach, or at least as we're doing it, in that we're kind of blurring the lines between just this like single benchmark layer of like having your offline evaluation benchmarks, and we want to make it this build, measure, learn type of loop, and make that easy for people as you're building out your application to first start with an idea. You have different components that can even generate data sets that can try to probe that space of what you think that idea might be. And this is just like a precursor, and that's that play part. And then you can make more data sets, and then you start deploying it into the test flight, or start playing around more in an application context, and continuously add examples to a data set or to like things that you want to be observing. And you can look at how it's behaving in these long sequences of events with a long context, and then either inspect it yourself, or then like use additional tools such as an LLM itself to try to infer, is this a reasonable result? How does it compare to what you'd expect the result is if you want to label it? And then where along this trajectory or something is it messing up, and then how can you fix that?